Hello and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Starfield and I'm going to be bringing you 5 more ship designs. Today they're not from one specific franchise. I'm kind of bouncing around, just picked some other ones that I thought would be doable on here, and they all were. I was able to come up with pretty good builds for each one of these ships, and they're going to be from different sci-fi franchises. So we're just going to dive on in. I'll show you each one, kind of talk a little bit about design and how to build them. I won't go super into depth because that just takes way too long, but I should give you enough angles and everything so that if you're trying to rebuild it, you could very easily just use this video to build the ships for yourself. So let's just dive on in and start with the first one, which is going to be the Swordfish from Cowboy Bebop. So you can see that we've managed to build this one to be pretty dang good. I kept it with Class B just so I could keep it nice and thin. I didn't want it to get too bulky. I at first did try to make it a Class C one, but I didn't like the end result. The Swordfish is a pretty small ship, and so we're trying to imitate that as best as possible, and I think this one does. That being said, even though it's a Class B ship, I was able to, try to maximize how good it can be. So we've got really good shielding, a pretty dang solid engine layout, and just good stats all around. So, and without, I think, ruining the lines too much, so it stays looking nice and sleek. And honestly, flying this is really fun. It makes a really good fighter ship. But yeah, as far as the build on this one goes, we start at the bottom with a NG6 Nova Galactic landing bay, and then I just have for landing gears, I've got 3 of them. So we have the 2 Demos 220 CB landing gears right to the side of our landing bay, and then in front of it, we have a Nova Galactic NG20. Those are like the best landing gears in the game. They give you 4 thrusts, so oftentimes you can get by with just 1 or 2 of these on lighter ships, which is why I love the Nova Galactic landing gear so much. But then moving up from there, right above our landing bay, we have a 2x1. I just put a workshop there. You can put whatever you want. Crew quarters if you want to be able to have more crew with you when you're flying the ship. And in front of that, we have another one, so another 2x1. That one I did living quarters. And then right above the one that's above the landing bay, we have a companionway and our bridge. And then our docker is on top of the companionway. That is your basic structure of the parts of the ship that are actually habitable, so that you actually use as a player. So you have your landing bay. Directly above that, you have 2 2x1s, and then above that, you've got your cockpit and your companionway. There's no other habs on this entire ship, so it's not huge. It doesn't have a ton of room in it, but like I said, if you make the 2 bottom ones both living quarters, you can actually, have a couple crew members with you when you're flying the ship, and it works really well like that. So as far as other stuff on this one, I have our grav drive right off to the side of our first 2x1 hab unit right here, and then off to the other side we've got our reactor. We're using our Stroud engine bracers to get out to our engines, and for the engines we have the Ares DT60 engines on either side. Then behind our habitation units we've got 2 of these SAE 5660 engines from Slayton Aerospace. Those provide us a lot of thrust, and they look pretty good for the ship. Then off to the side of the top one we have 2 M30 Ulysses helium tanks to give us our fuel for the ship. Above that we just have a Demo spine, and on the top of that I was able to mount a autocannon, so I was able to balance out all of my weapons on this one. As far as the rest of the ship goes, off to the front of this hab pod we have 2 of these Demos wings, which I was able to mount our main weapons on. Our shield generator is the Vanguard Bulwark shield generator. Excellent shield generator. It's a Class B one, but it's almost as good as the best Class C one, so I really like using that on my ships. Then off to the front we have one 100 cm ballast cargo hold, which gives us a little bit more cargo space up on the front. Then we have a Hope Tech pipes, and then the Nova weapons mount off to the front, and then the Nova cowling on top. And so we mounted a bunch of our weapons on this weapons mount, some on and over and above our little wings on the side, and then one on the rear on the back. So I think it maintains the lines relatively well for the Swordfish and looks really good, and it performs excellent. So the ship is great. Hope this helps you build it if you want. Moving on to the Serenity, which is the ship from Firefly, a sci-fi show that you're probably familiar with, and if you're not, look it up. It's pretty good. But yeah, this one I think turned out looking pretty dang good. We were able to match the general shape and style of it pretty well. The color I went back and forth on. I was doing like a grayish pinkish kind of look to it because I think that's more what the Serenity looks like in Firefly, but I ended up going with this blue just because I liked the way the color looked better. As for building it, without going into too much detail, we start on the bottom with our Hope 4 landing bay. Then directly above that we have a 2x1 hab unit. Directly above that we have a 3x1 hab unit, a companionway behind it, and another 2x1 hab unit up here, and then a 2x1 hab unit up here. So we've got 2x1, 3x1, a 1x1, a 2x1 above that, a 2x1 below the 3x1, and then our landing bay. And so our cockpit's up on the front. We use the Commander 500 bridge. We have a docker on the back. Our engine layout is we've got the Stroud engine bracers leading out on the side. Then we've got a Supernova 2200 engine on either side and one on the back. That provides us all the thrust that the ship has. Our reactor, we've got a pinch reactor down on the bottom right behind our landing bay. So that's a top mount one that goes up to our hab unit. Then we have our SGD 3300 grav drive on the back. That is a rear mount to that's a rear mount to the hab unit, and we can use that to connect our engine to, as well as the hab unit on the top. Landing gear layout, we've got 4 of these Nova Galactic NG-15 landing gears off on the sides. I think they help with the look of the ship and also give us all the thrust we need to, land and take off. Using our Deimos belly 4s for our shapes on the front, and then just, generally other body parts to make up the rest of the shapes for the ship. So we've got some Deimos wings, we've got the Nova cowling that we're using on the back here, Taio cowling for that one, and then some Deimos bumpers on the rear side. So fairly straightforward to make this ship, not very complicated, and if you're a fan of Firefly, it's kind of a must. So that is the Serenity. Next up, we've got one that should be pretty recognizable, and I really, really love the way it turned out, the Planet Express ship from Futurama. So this one is pretty dang good. I was also able to really maximize stats on this one to make it a great ship. And so as far as building on this one, just a rough overview, this is a larger ship. We've got our Nova Galactic NG6 landing bay up to the front. Off the sides of that, we've got our Stroud Cap A's, giving us our shape for the bottom. This one is the Planet Express ship is for package carrying, so I put a lot of storage on this. So we've got 4 of these Galleon S203 cargo holds, so this ship has just a ton of cargo space. Behind that, we've got some mid-bracers, and we've got a bunch of landers because we need them for the ship. And so we have 5 Nova Galactic NG-20 landing gears, which give us all the thrust we need to take off. To the rear of those 2 landing gears, we've got 2 of these Dun 71 engines in the center that we have mounted far enough forward so they're flat on the back, and then 2 Supernova 2200 engines on the back. That gives the ship a lot of thrust and gives it enough to actually be relatively maneuverable and fast, even with the size and mass being as large as it is. Off to the side, for the rear design elements that we did with the Planet Express ship, I've got a Stroud cowling and then a Stroud cap for the back on both of these sides for the wings. For the top back, I did the Deimos hull. I have 2 of those here. Then on top, we've got a Deimos spine A, a Deimos spine E, the Deimos tail A, and then below that, we have the Deimos belly aft, and that gives us a pretty good approximation of the back of the Planet Express ship. Then along the sides, we've got a Stroud cap B for the rear on the middle level, a Deimos companionway, then we have Taio living quarters bottom that give us the nice smooth lines down here for 2 2x1s. Above that, we've got the Stroud cowling 1 LAST, and then 2 more 2x1 compartments. This time I went with the Taio tops, and then on the rear we have the Taio cowling aft top. And of course we have, basically, this ship has a ton of internal space. Both of these layers here are, other than the outside parts where you can see that we just have a structural component, they're all hab units. So, there's a lot of internal space on the ship. On the front, I use the Nova Galactic Cabot C4 bridge, and then we just have our weapons mounted around to try and not break up the lines too much of the ship, so a lot of it's on the rear. Honestly, I really like the way the Planet Express ship turned out. I think it looks super cool, and as a huge fan of Futurama, I love this one. Plus, like I said, we were able to make it a really, really good Class C ship. So yeah, that's the Planet Express ship. Next, we have the D-77 Pelican from Halo, or the Halo franchise. This one was one that was actually pretty straightforward and simple to build, because it's a nice small ship, and it performs pretty well. I don't have it all tricked out as much as you could. Obviously, if you were less concerned about the appearances, you could add another engine, get your engine thrust all the way up, and you could add a whole nother weapons battery to make sure that you're armed to the teeth even more. But I wanted to keep the looks of it looking like the Pelican since it's so iconic. So we start off with a Deimos 120 LD landing bay facing the rear on this one. Right above that, we've got a 3x1 Deimos living quarters, which gives us our central body for the ship. Off to the side of our landing bay, we're using the Deimos 220 CB landing gears on either side, and then I have 2 of these Pinpoint 3G landing gears from Taio up on the front, both centered around this Pinpoint 4G landing gear. So that's the total landing gears for this ship. If you wanted to use the Nova Galactic, you could use less, but I think for the appearances that this gives it, it actually helps you match the style of the ship better. For the engines, I'm using a Slayton Aerospace SAE 5660 engine on the rear, and then 2 of these Hercules DT160s on the top. For our grav drive, I went with the best Class B ones I could for the ship, so we have an Aurora 13G from Deep Core, and then for our reactor, we have a 104DS from Dogstar, so both of those provide us plenty to make it a really good Class B ship. We've got our fuel tank up here with an H30 Atlas, and then we have our 28T Defender from Dogstar shield generator over on the side. Got some cargo, some 200 cm ballast cargo holds on the rear to give us a little bit more cargo space. Our wings, we have the Nova braking engine down here, and then a Stroud engine bracer and a Nova wing that's our wing setup. I think it comes pretty close to looking how the Pelicans does. And on the front, we have our Commander 500 bridge. So, like I said, not a ton of hab space. Right above the landing gear, we have 1 3x1 living quarters, have a workshop above that. You could make that into another living quarters or a captain's quarters or whatever you want. Then we have a companionway on the back, a docker on top, and that is all of our internal space for ship. So that is the Pelican from Halo. And finally, our last ship we're looking at is going to be the ECF Rocinante from the show The Expanse. So it's actually a pretty good sci-fi show if you haven't watched it. And it's also, I believe, I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong, but it's also the name of Don Quixote's horse, if I'm correct in my memory of that story. But a pretty cool looking ship. It's a frigate. And so to build this one, it's going to be obviously pretty long. We're going to have the 120 LD landing bay on the bottom. Right behind that, we're going to have a 2x1 hab unit. I just have a workshop because I like having that right by my bay on ships that I use. Above that, we've got another 2x1. I did a living quarters, and we've got another 2x1 in front of that. I did another living quarters. Above those two habs, we have 2 more 2x1s. I did captain's quarters and a science lab, and then we have our Viking cockpit off the front. That's all of the hab space. You can see we have our docker right up here next to the cockpit, so entering and exiting the ship is nice and easy, with the bay being directly below the cockpit and the landing bay, or the landing gear, being right up on top. For our landing gears on this one, we have 4 of these pinpoint 3G landing gears off on the side, and that provides the thrust that we need to get the ship into the air. And then we have Nova Galactic one on the back. Then we have our reactor right down here on the back of our hab pods. So I went with a Class C reactor to give us plenty of power, but to keep it slim, I just did a Class B grav drive for the back, so you can see that's where we have that. Have some cargo holds up here for the aesthetics and also to give us some cargo space. Fuel on the back. I have 3 of these SAE 5660 engines giving us all of our thrust. Use some Demos bumpers off on the side to fill out the shapes, and we have a Nova Galactic weapons mount off the front to hold the majority of our, well, it's our full main battery of weapons. Then we have our, Gauss guns, 2 side mounted and 1 on the top, and then did 2 missile launchers on the back. So that is the ship from The Expanse. I think it turned out looking really good. I think it looks good as a ship in general. It flies pretty well in the game, and it does a good job of imitating the ship from The Expanse. So that is the last ship that we're looking at in today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, found this video to be useful. Out of all these ships that I've made, I think that my 2 favorite in this video were probably either the Swordfish, which I really like because it's small, nimble, it makes a great fighter, or the Planet Express ship because A, I love Futurama and it's just so iconic, and I was able to match it relatively well, and B, because I was able to make this into a pretty dang good ship. Like I said, it's big and bulky, it has a lot of mass to it, but you can fit a lot of people in it, it can hold a ton of cargo, and it actually performs really well in battle. So, love these ships, hope you enjoyed them, but that's all for today. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.